They called him the Startup Whisperer. But long before Reid Hoffman co-founded LinkedIn and etched his name into Silicon Valley's Mount Rushmore, he was a philosophy student trying to figure out how to change the world. It began with a question that haunted him through his early 20s. How can I have the greatest possible impact on humanity? You might expect the answer from a Stanford graduate and Oxford Rhodes scholar to lie in academia, writing, or diplomacy. But Reid Hoffman was already seeing the future, not through textbooks, but through networks, connections, systems. The invisible web that ties people, ideas, and power together. Reid wasn't just chasing success, he was designing it. His first startup, SocialNet, was a failure. It was supposed to be a social platform connecting people for dating and other relationships, years before the term social media even entered our vocabulary. Hoffman was ahead of his time, too far ahead. Most would see failure. Hoffman saw feedback. Instead of quitting, he dove headfirst into PayPal, joining a ragtag group of visionaries who would later be dubbed the PayPal Mafia. Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, Max Levchin. They weren't just building a payments platform, they were building the foundation for the digital economy. Hoffman became PayPal's executive vice president. But his real role? The diplomat, the bridge between engineers and investors, between vision and execution. He learned how to turn chaos into opportunity, how to manage egos, how to scale trust in a system that was inherently untrustworthy. The Internet. And when eBay bought PayPal in 2002 for $1.5 billion, Reid could have retired. But instead he made a bet that the professional world needed its own network, a place where people could showcase their experience, connect with others in their industry, and open doors to new opportunities. They said it wouldn't work. They said it was boring. Who needs a social network for work? But Hoffman had seen the future before, and he was right again. LinkedIn launched in 2003. It took 500 days to reach 500,000 users, not explosive, not viral, but methodical, relentless. Hoffman knew that building a network business wasn't about speed. It was about density. The more connections you have, the more valuable the network becomes. And he was prepared to wait. This is the secret Reid Hoffman understood before almost anyone else. Startups are not built like cathedrals. They are grown like gardens. Water them. Protect them. Prune the bad ideas. Let the strong ones grow. By 2008, LinkedIn was profitable. In 2011, it went public with a valuation of over $4 billion. And in 2016, Microsoft bought it for $26.2 billion. So what makes Reid Hoffman different? What lessons can you pull from his story and apply to your own? Let's pause, because what comes next might change the way you think about startups forever. You see, Reid Hoffman never saw himself as an entrepreneur. He saw himself as a systems thinker, a connector, someone who understood that success isn't about having the best idea. It's about building the right ecosystem. He once said, "If you're not embarrassed by the first version of your product, you've launched too late." This philosophy is key. Hoffman embraces imperfection. He believes in learning fast, launching early, and adapting on the fly. In his best-selling book, The Startup of You, he argues that every person should treat their career like a startup, iterate, pivot, network, and take intelligent risks. But there's more. Hoffman pioneered the concept of blitz scaling, the science of rapidly building companies that can dominate markets before competitors catch up. It's dangerous, messy, sometimes reckless, but it works if you know what you're doing. Hoffman explains blitz scaling with brutal honesty. You have to be willing to sacrifice efficiency for speed in the face of uncertainty. That means hiring before you're ready, expanding before you're stable, betting the company to win the market. But that doesn't mean blind risk. Behind every chaotic decision, Hoffman applies an almost philosophical rigor. His background in logic and ethics gives him a unique edge. He thinks in probabilities, not absolutes. He plays long-term games with long-term people. One of his greatest strengths? Choosing allies. LinkedIn succeeded because Hoffman surrounded himself with people smarter than him, engineers, designers, marketers. He built a team that could challenge him, stretch his thinking, and execute faster than competitors. And he stayed humble. Hoffman says, "You jump off a cliff and you assemble an airplane on the way down." But here's what makes that metaphor so powerful. He doesn't say you build wings. He says you assemble an airplane. It's collaborative. It requires multiple systems working together: engines, navigation, wings, landing gear. That's how Reid Hoffman builds companies. As we near the end of this journey, you might be wondering, could I do the same? Could I build something big? Maybe, but not by copying Hoffman. By learning from his mindset, his adaptability, his obsession with networks, not just technology, his willingness to fail forward. Hoffman didn't just create LinkedIn, he helped shape a generation of entrepreneurs. He invested in Facebook, Airbnb, and Dropbox. He launched a podcast to share what he learned. He mentors founders, writes books, and funds moonshots. He's still planting gardens, still designing systems, still chasing that question that drove him from the start. How can I have the greatest possible impact on humanity? And maybe, just maybe, that's the real secret. Not just to building a billion-dollar startup, but to building a legacy that outlasts it. I'm Jim, and this is History Decoded. See you in the next one.